Imagine meeting a mother whose life is just hanging by a thread of sanity. A husband who ignores her, a daughter who is busy with her own life, and a son who doesn't care about anything. As she navigates through life, one day everything changes as an unexpected guest arrives at their doorstep. The manga starts with us seeing a figure, locking the door. From the side, a woman comes out while holding two toddlers. As they make their way closer, the woman greets someone with a loud and cheerful voice. Kawagashi smiles back and shares how they are earlier than usual. As their quick morning conversation starts, the lady asks her kids to greet and wish Miss Kawagashi a good morning. The kids hide behind their mother and pass intense glares at her. She jokes around and shares how children are quite wary of strangers. Just hearing this, the other woman starts to praise her experience, and she smiles back at her. It seemed like Kawagashi's another bright day has started. However, just as she closes the door, we see the real face of her. The smiles and happy expressions she had earlier were all just made-up things, and in reality, she hated every single second with them. As she looks at the door with dead eyes, she begins to walk through the hallway and tosses the newspaper away. She goes to the kitchen and brings out a tray full of delicious food. She goes across to a different room and gently knocks on it, telling the person inside to grab their food. However, inside was her son, sitting next to a computer, and all around him were layers and layers of trash. She realized that today as well, her voice would not be heard, and she just places the tray of food there and leaves. As she goes back to the kitchen and starts eating her breakfast, a girl enters and quietly walks near the fridge. This is Mariko, her daughter. Unlike typical families where greetings are the first thing families do, or even casual talk, here there was pin-drop silence. As Mariko starts to look for something, Kawagashi was slurping her soup, and her daughter quietly leaves her. She wishes her goodbye, however, she walks off without saying a single word. As Kawagashi ate her food, in that gloomy and dead environment, her husband later joined the table. As he smokes a cigarette while reading the newspaper, Kawagashi was doing dishes. With a low and weak voice, she asks if he would like to have some coffee, and he immediately refuses and shares how he is already late. As she heard this, she knew that he was about to say the usual things. In the next instant, her husband tells her that he would be busy working overnight and won't be back home today. As he said this and left without saying anything, she looked at him leaving in a hurry and thought how he is eager to visit his lover's place and embrace her. Kawagashi slides open the door and lies down on the sofa, and this is her family that she is trying to take care of, despite nothing in return. A cheating husband who has multiple affairs, a shut-in son who hasn't left his room for 6 years, and a daughter who denies her existence. With a sad tone, she reminds herself that this family is failed. And at first, she wasn't able to accept this, but now she cries that she is at ease knowing that it is unfixable. Even though she knows that everything in her life and family is failing, during her work, she is treated as a rather broken human and someone who is managing her family alone. As two of her colleagues gossip about her, slowly everything that is going on with her is building poison in her. The next day, she was busy budgeting and grunts how she manages everything all by herself. From the side, Mariko walks in, and they both end up meeting eyes with each other. Immediately, Kawagashi asks why she is wearing a school uniform on Sunday. Mariko tells her mother that she is going to quit school. Just hearing this, Kawagashi's mood changes and she asks why she would want that. She states to add how the school has been giving her warnings, and in the first place, she is not interested in studies and going to college is something that doesn't interest her a bit. With a pissed voice, Kawagashi asks her why the school has been giving warnings to her, and with a weak voice she tells her mother that she has been very active in sugar dating. Kawagashi grunts and cries that she is in second year and already getting expelled and doing adult things that come with severe consequences. Mariko adds that there are some pictures of her going somewhere with an older man that have gotten viral in the school, and everyone has started to call her with weird names and slang, and everyone at the school has been gossiping about her. Mariko adds that this is very disturbing and annoying for her. Kawagashi tells her to tell everything to her father as well, and interrupting her, she tells her that he is just going to tell her to do whatever she wants. She knew that her father doesn't care about anything and would just say things that would put him away from harm's way, and he would continue his life with ease. As she said this, she dashes off, and Kawagashi sat there knowing that she is logging out with another man this time, and cries out how her children are beyond help. From the side, her husband enters and asks if anything is wrong. As Kawagashi denies the question, she was sure to not tell him anything this just yet. She cries how their expenses have been rising and they can hardly survive, and their son has been charging their card with expensive game-related things. As she cries to the only person who is supposed to take care of her, he tells her that he has left the kid under her care, and he knows that she would do the right thing. As he puts up a fake and disgusting smile, he tells Kawagashi to not shower him with complaints during his day off, and even tells her to not wait for him since he has some work-related plans tonight. As he slams the door and leaves, she stands there wondering, who is she supposed to lean on? She is the only one holding on to this family, and now things are becoming harder to hold together, and she tells herself that not even in her death will she be able to leave this dead house. As time passed, and in the night, her pathetic husband was driving back to his home after spending all his time embracing his lover. He smiled as she texted him to meet again. He glanced at the side of the road, and there, a man sat all bruised. As this man was going to change the entire family's life, Noriko did something he should never have done. He brought that man to his home. And as Kawagashi tells him how he should never have done this, he replies that he was an important manager whom he knew he couldn't just leave there. She tells him in a broken voice that if he didn't know his address, he should have just sent him to a police station or something, and there was no reason to bring him here. But in the next instant, he throws up, and the entire floor was covered with his vomit. She shouts and tells her useless husband to just take his lovely manager to the bathroom, and he does that. As per Kawagashi wipes the disgusting floor, she sits there working like a slave. From the side, both men started to talk among each other. She hated every single second of this, and after finishing everything, she enters the living room to see that her stupid husband had opened another bottle of wine for the gentleman to drink. She shouts at him and asks him how he just threw up, and he gave him even more to drink. And Noriko replies that he insisted. From the side, gentleman manager thanks both of them for their hospitality, and showed a gesture like someone who already owned the house. Noriko tells Kawagashi not to stand there, and bring out some snacks for him. As she clenches her fist, Manager Moto begins to eat everything, and it seems like he was roughed up by some kids, and that was how he ended up getting all bruised up. Kawagashi offers him even more food and even gives him side eyes, wondering just when he would leave. Mariko returns from her dates and without greeting or announcing her presence, with a rude tone, she asks who this old man is. The almighty manager scolds his junior that his children are just mannerless for not even greeting, and Mariko replies that he should mind his own business. In just a few minutes, the manager had already become so comfortable in their house that he was not leaving and started to request food and drink like he owned Noriko's home. At this time, Kawagashi herself tells her husband with a pissed expression that enough is enough, his manager is not leaving even though it has been a long time. Her spineless husband replies that he can't just send him off. And the manager asks them for directions to the restroom. With a fake smile, she shows him the way, and in the hallway, he ends up seeing Fumiharu, who just came out of his room after many months. As the eyes of both of them end up meeting, the manager becomes furious about something, and in the next instant, he tries to enter Fumiharu's room. As both of them start to exert force, the manager tells him to open the door and show respect to his guest. Fumiharu immediately hits his hand with the headphone, and for a second, he lets go of the door. He slams the door, and the almighty manager grunts from the pain and starts shouting, telling him to come out and apologize to him. He begins saying hurtful things and starts to ask if he is a shut-in. With a loud voice, he tells Fumiharu that his type of human is trash to society, and he should just disappear. As Fumiharu stood there, the manager laughed that he doesn't even have the balls to fight back. Fumiharu was actually hanging by a thin thread himself, and as he heard these things, he stands there like a broken man, and a grim atmosphere surrounds him. It had been a few hours, and the manager kept eating food and drinking their wine, and there were no signs of him leaving. As Noriko tells his manager to head back home and that even his family could be waiting for him, he was dead silent. He said this in such a timid voice, and his manager didn't take him seriously. Mariko, on the other hand, cries out to him to just go back home already and asks if things in his family have been terrible, which is why he has been hanging around at someone's house. As he made a pissed expression, Mariko laughs that she is right on the mark. As Kawagashi approaches him and asks if he would like some more drink, he shakes her off, and she starts to apologize to him. He looks at her face with an angry look, and she looked back at him with an obvious fake smile. The almighty manager shouted at Kawagashi and tells her to stop giving him fake smiles and tells her that she must be completely empty from the inside. As she heard this, the thin thread that she was hanging on was about to snap. She just heard the things that she hated the most, and cries out how she can't put up a fake smile. Her spineless husband, on the other hand, was busy with his own stuff, and poor Kawagashi started to clench the tray and stood there like a person who is made to be looked down on. From the side, a door creaks open, and Fumiharu enters. Everyone in the family was shocked to see this, and he quietly walks near his mother. Every single one of them was surprised, and the manager started to spew how he finally mustered the courage to come out of his cave. He started to spew hurtful things again, and began pressuring him. Noriko finally realized that this type of guest is the wrong one, and he tells him to now head back home since it has been a long time. Kawagashi herself tells him to send his manager home. The almighty manager finally goes into rage mode. He screamed at his junior, who was stupid enough to care, and declares to everyone that he isn't someone who should be taken lightly, and from the start, he adds that this family was looking at him like pests. Noriko tells him to relax, and his voice is troubling his family, and the manager pushes him away and shouts, "What family are you talking about?" He added how there is nothing in this family that could be considered something warm. With a disgusting smile, he tells them this family is made up of people from the lowest of the low, comforting each other. He laughs at them and tells them that perhaps they have given up on living. As Kawagashi hears this, she freezes. And he started to tell them how they have failed in everything that is human. He shouts that they have failed in life and as a family. Just then, the thin thread she clung on so hard finally snaps. In the next instant, Kawagashi smashes his head so hard that the manager completely goes mute and falls down with a thud. As everyone in the family became speechless and saw what had just happened, the manager drops and doesn't move a single inch. As a couple of seconds pass, he remains still and unresponsive. As Fumiharu throws up himself, all three of them were surrounded by pin-drop silence. Kawagashi looks at him one more time as they wonder if he had died or something. Noriko checks for his pulse and whether he is breathing or not, and he tells everyone in a weak voice that he is in fact not breathing. As Kawagashi heard this, her whole world came crumbling down. She has just done something that she can never fix. She drops the heavy object she slammed his head with, and Mariko starts to ask about the thing that her mother just did. On the other hand, Kawagashi was too stunned to even notice anything but the floor. Noriko gets up in a hurry and starts to perform CPR, but as he gasped and tried everything he could, it was clear at this stage that the manager died right there from a blow to the head. As all four of them just saw something that would now change their lives, Fumiharu with a weak voice mutters to check for his phone. As they listen to him, he tells everyone to start looking for his phone. Kawagashi just heard her son's voice for the first time in 6 years and immediately starts to search everywhere for his phone. After going through everything, she confirms that he has nothing. As they start to panic and things become unclear, she adds that even in the toilet there was no phone, and it is possible that he dropped his phone earlier when he fought against the young men he encountered before meeting Noriko. With a chilling voice, she starts muttering that no one would know, and she starts to list how the body is the most important, and if no one can find it, everything could work out. She looks at Noriko and asks if anyone saw them together. Every single one of them had no idea what to do, and they started to question what their life would be after this. Noriko tells everyone with a serious tone that this will not only affect their mother's life but their lives as well. As they start to list what to do, Kawagashi just knew exactly what she needed to do. She tells Noriko to drag his body to the bathroom, and told him to bring her all type of knives and cleaning acids. She looks at her husband and asks if she can leave the cutting part to him, and he looks down at the ground with a troubled look. She knew that her spineless husband would never go that far, and he begins to drag his body to the bathroom. She adds and tells her husband to undress him as well and cover his head with a plastic bag. As she is about to do something that was so inhuman, she questioned if things would have been different if only she had been able to regain sanity during his rant. As half a dozen sharp knives and cutting material were gathered by her husband, she put on thick gloves. There the manager's body was inside the bathroom, and Kawagashi was about to divide his body into parts, and then bury it somewhere far. As she questioned where exactly does she need to start, she noticed that she was shaking too aggressively. From the side, Fumiharu himself quietly enters the bathroom, and she asks if he is here to help her, and he nods his head slightly. She tells him to stand there since there will be a lot of blood, but he tells her that it is fine. He grabs the shower head himself, and they both start to cut open the body. Kawagashi tells how she is happy to have her son here with her, and shares how she could have never done this all by herself. As they start doing the most disturbing thing that a human can do, they begin cutting, and after time, they came to the point where almost all the body was cut up. She questions how long has it been since they had a meaningful conversation with each other. During middle school, Fumiharu was in a rebellious phase, and that is why she began to talk less to him. However, soon after that, he was being harassed and bullied at school, and it came to a point that he began shutting himself in his room. As she saw his face under the hair bangs, she couldn't believe that her son's face had changed so much. After finishing up, they assembled the bags, and for a moment, Kawagashi gets a flashback of the manager, but she reminds herself that she is beyond the point of returning. Both mother and son washed themselves up properly to make sure that the bathroom, and they themselves didn't smell of the blood. Noriko finally checks on Kawagashi and asks where would she bury it. He approaches her, and tells her that he would take the body out as well and shares that he has a place where they could bury this. Kawagashi asks just where could they bury it, and Noriko starts to describe the place that they will bury this. As she persisted and questioned where would they bury it, he replies and tells her that they would bury this body in the garden of his affairs house. A single sentence comes to Kawagashi's mind: I thought a quiet and timid man wouldn't cheat. Despite acting like nothing has happened, she tells him to get the heavy bags, and they both start to avert their eyes and carry the bags, with a rather uncomfortable and serious environment. She asked where her house was and he explained the address to her. He also added how her father ran a clinic and all, but Kawagashi interrupts and tells him to stop. And even in reality, who would like to hear the details of the person your beloved cheated on? He looked at her with a guilty expression. She tells him to open the trunk of the car and come back here, and additionally tells him to make enough space to fit 7 heavy bags side by side. She also reminds him not to be suspicious and draw any unwanted attention toward him. With a stuttering voice, he replies to her, but deep down, he was clearly not the perfect fit for this job. Mariko, on the other hand, shouts and tells everyone that there is no way that she would help in carrying these bags. As she tells her to do whatever she wants, Kawagashi was completely shaken up by the words that her husband said. Although she knew that he had an affair, the way he said it, and the timing made it even harder for her. After clearing up the space, her husband returns and carries the remaining bags with him. As Kawagashi was ready to carry some of the bags herself, she walks out of the door, and immediately she was in a state of high alert, and even the small details made her very scared and paranoid. As she walked with light steps, she walked to the parking, but instinctively she notices something and glanced at it. An umbrella was there, and she had thought of it as a person. She had become so paranoid that she started to imagine herself as the center of attention. She started to pile the bags on top of each other, and their cycle continued. After everything, they were ready to leave, and Mariko peeked from behind and asked if everything is done now. Kawagashi tells her to just remain home and keep an eye on things here. But there was a blood right near her which terrified her, and she exclaims that she would come with them as well. The entire family approached their father's car, and as they were to sit, their father's car was very dirty and had stuff in the back. Mariko shouts how she would do nothing, even though she is going, and while sitting, she started to complain about the things that were there. As Nariko apologized, Kawagashi added how it has been a very long time since anyone really sat behind his car. As she said this, the whole family united after ages and they drive off. As they made their way to the house, she asks how long till the place, and he replies that it is around 15 minutes. Inside the car, all of them were dead silent, and no one wanted to say anything to anyone. Mariko asked if someone would see them do this, and what would happen to them. Even Nariko looks at her with fearful eyes, and she replies that if that were to be the case, then it would be over for all of them. After coming around the place, Kawagashi made sure that everyone would follow a few rules. Outside, they are to say nothing, and they would need to make as little sound as they can since everyone around them was already asleep and they could use this time at their advantage. As they quietly sneaked in and out, Nariko led them to the garden that he talked about. They lined the bags, and now was the most time-consuming and difficult part, the groundwork. They had to dig a deep hole to hide the body. Kawagashi adds how the groundwork took longer than expected, and they had come to a point where the residents around them would wake up soon. As Kawagashi was to open one of the bags and touch something inside, the hideous and unimaginably disgusting smell of flesh blows out of the bag. She immediately falls back while grunting and making a troubled expression. As both Nariko and Fumihara look at her, she began to catch her breath. She was shaking too much, and as she gathered herself, she gets up and began throwing the body in. After burying the body, all of them were exhausted, and as Nariko and Kawagashi nodded in agreement, they were ready to leave now. As they were leaving, Nariko ends up bumping into a bicycle, and it falls down. The loud crash sound was literally heard everywhere, and since it was pin-drop silence everywhere around, it made it even more dangerous. As he places the bicycle back to where he found it, Kawagashi, on the other hand, was furious. She had earlier told everyone to be as quiet as they can. As they walk off, and all of them sat inside the car, Mariko started to ask if everything is okay. As she kept repeating her question, Kawagashi was beyond any reasoning and sat there while gasping for air, reminding herself that the nightmare would surely be over. The next day, the TV was broadcasting news, and when we zoom out, every single one of them were sitting in fear for their lives, wondering if they are busted. As they watched and watched, Kawagashi lightly asked if anyone would want breakfast. All of them remained silent and knew that there was no way that food would even go down their throats. As time passed, and Nariko was about to leave for work, Kawagashi tells him to visit that place once again. She adds and instructs him to specially check the garden. Kawagashi made a troubled expression, and she turned around. From the back, he started to mention how they met 2 years ago and both were not serious about each other, and he tells her that his affair with her was a distraction. She shuts him down and asks him if she was his first affair. As he heard this, he goes silent and made an expression of someone who was already guilty of many crimes. She tells him that after what has happened, affair is a trivial thing at this point. After saying this, she leaves. Mariko was also all dressed up and ready for school, and she asks if she wants to continue school now, and she looks at her mother with an angry expression and tells her that she would rather be at school than this terrible house. As she slams the door, Fumihara from the back quietly comes out, and as they both interact, she was a bit happy to see that her son finally has been stepping out of the room bit by bit. Kawagashi goes to work as well, and one of the customers shouts at her for spacing out. She apologizes and lowers her head. Her manager asks if anything is wrong, and with a loud voice he tells her to smile when dealing with a customer, and she apologizes to him as well. It seemed like the things that happened yesterday had still affected her, and deep down, she was wary and afraid of everything that was going on. As another customer asked for her, she clenches her robe and was determined to move forward. She looks at the customer with a bright smile and reminded herself that no matter what, their normal lives would surely go back to normal, and nothing else will happen. As all of them returned to their normal lives. That day, she decided to check the manager's clothes and separate it as burnable trash. She started to cut the credit and debit cards into small pieces and also made sure to rip apart his clothes. She checked for any cash that he had, and it was true, he was indeed harassed by some young people. Since tomorrow was the day where burnable trash would be allowed, she thanked and was relieved to say that everything would be okay after tomorrow. However, she herself was sure that everything won't just go back to normal just like that. As she checked a mark on the floor, she started to list the things and possibilities of any details that she could have missed, and then she remembers something that would change everything. Our screen swoops to Noriko, and he was strolling around his workplace. There, some people had already started to notice that Manager Moto was not there, and even his cell phone was turned off. As Noriko hears these talks around him, his mobile goes off, and Kawagashi was calling him. He picks up, and on the phone, Kawagashi was screaming about something. She asked where did he find the manager. As Noriko thought of something else and asked why she is asking this, Kawagashi was screaming that there was surely something that he left behind. As fate would change everything that was planned and their normal lives were already over, the place where Noriko found the manager had a cell phone there, and some people managed to find it. Late at night, Fumiharu was gaming, and all of a sudden, he noticed that someone just walked by. As he decided to check, he goes near the room where his mother was sitting down, and for a minute, he wanted to call out to her. But just as he was about to do so, she slams her fist on the table and started to cry. The all-strong and powerful person she was during cutting and burying the manager disappeared, and deep down, she was scared to the extent where she wanted to hide somewhere far. He quietly leaves her. And as she sits there in darkness, knowing that there is surely no forgiveness for the things that she has done. As they went to sleep, she kept checking her phone, and it was 3:50 in the morning, and both husband and wife were laying right next to each other. She asked Noriko if he had any sleep, and he was awake like a lizard and muttered no. Both decided to walk around to identify cameras, and check if along the way they were caught in any CCTV cameras that they should be aware of. As they quietly walked, she ended up mentioning a restaurant that she loved. Alongside checking the CCTV camera, they were also checking if the manager had left something and if the mobile would be in the places that he visits often. However, so far, they have not been able to find the phone. As Noriko reminds her to head back home, she was somewhat not happy with him and his attitude with these matters. And he started to mutter how it would have been found already. She analyzes and is sure that his phone could be near his own house and tells him to stop by his place to verify everything. The spineless husband starts to make up things, and she tells him to find the address through his workplace and check, since the possibility is not zero. From the side, a normal stranger greets Noriko, and he immediately starts to panic like a baby. The stranger asks him if he is out with his wife for a couple's walk, and Kawagashi instantly stands in front of Noriko and greets the stranger and tells him how they are actually on a couple's walk and heading back home. As they got back home, Kawagashi was beyond angry. Her spineless husband had already shaken up from a light greeting from a stranger, and he started to mutter sorry. She exclaims how he acted suspicious near a person's house, and how this could lead to clues and destroy everything that they worked for. With weird eyes, he mutters again and tells her that probably nothing stood out yesterday. She was sure that her husband is not made for hard things and is someone who would never do things the subtle way. As they were engaging with each other, Mariko dashes outside once again, and Kawagashi asks if she is heading to the school and why is she going so early. She glances back and tells her to leave her alone. As the rude Mariko leaves with a loud slam, strangely, she starts to remember the words of the manager, and how he actually was right, this family is doomed and failed. As Noriko asks if Kawagashi was okay or not, she adds that he needs to stop being so jumpy around anyone. As she leans over, she grabs him by his collar, and with a menacing look, she tells him to get his senses together, and everyone's life is at stake, and she tells him to act like nothing happened even though it would kill him. As Kawagashi's always enduring nature quickly disappears, and Noriko starts to gulp, knowing that she is different than before. That night, Noriko manages to get the address of the manager's house and decides to pay his house a visit. As he sees the house, he was sure that this is his place. However, there weren't any lights, nor it seemed like anyone was home. Noriko planned to just leave the place as soon as he is done scanning everything, but from the side, a person greets him. He spins around to see a tall young man. Noriko starts to introduce himself and asks if this is the house of Manager Moto. The young man asks if he is here for his father, and he explains how his home was near Manager Moto's house, and the company requested him to check on him. The young man asks for his ID or business card to verify everything. As Noriko hands him the card, he checks it and returns it back. He glances back at him and invites him over, telling that he hasn't been able to contact his father as well. As he smiles and thanks him for his hospitality inside, he sits down and tells him how it has been a long time since he last visited this place. The boy starts to explain how they live separately, and he himself hasn't come around here much. Noriko asks if he is not close with his father, and the boy exclaims that his father called for the first time yesterday. They actually planned to meet yesterday, but he got lazy and refused to meet up with his dad, and after that, he wasn't able to contact his father whatsoever. That is the reason he also stopped by here to check if something is wrong. As Noriko frowns and tells how this is concerning, the boy adds that it is actually okay. He adds how there was no interest in this family, and no one in this family was fond of each other. Noriko himself reflected how his family is just like this as well, and the young boy looks at him for a second and asks if he had heard anything about his father. As he stuttered for a bit, and then replied that nothing has been heard about his father. The boy spins around and was sure that since the company that he loved sent out a person looking for him, he is surely not anywhere here. He decided to file for a missing person report. He adds how even his mother has no interest, and tells him that he would take care of everything by himself. Noriko tells him to relax, and maybe he would be back in a few days, and the boy adds how he can't survive financially without his support, and they would need to find him soon. He spins around and says the most painful thing that anyone could hear from a family member. He tells that none of his family cares about anything else than his money, and that is the only reason he showed up here as well. He gets up and apologizes for the trouble and tells Noriko to leave the rest to him. As the boy started to head for the nearby station, Noriko uses some courage and shouts at him, and proposes that he would join him as well. Noriko starts to add how he himself is a bit worried about him. As the boy looks at him and was sure that refusing won't help here, they both begin to walk to the police station. Noriko also made sure to get his contact information as well, and for a moment the boy thinks about something, but then he shares his information with Noriko. On the other hand, it was already late, and Kawagashi was waiting for Noriko's return. She picks up the tray that Fumihara left, and notices that he even ate his rice ball. As she was hungry herself, she decides to eat something herself, and as she heads to the kitchen to make something, she ends up seeing a knife. There she remembers all the horrible and indescribable things that she used a knife to do, and she immediately put her head down, realizing that there is no way that she can escape from everything. As she gasped for air, she begins to eat a ration box she found, and wondered why Noriko was taking so long. As thoughts approached her, she sat there thinking if he got himself in trouble. As Kawagashi sat there embracing herself and deep down all broken, fate would throw something dangerous at them. In the police station, a man questioned if this is a new phone, and the recipient replied how this is a lost item, and no one has come to claim it. The Lost and Found department even called the people at the company, but there were no replies. As the person checking it complained how there is actually a blood stain, the recipient adds how detectives love to add scary details. As Noriko asks for assistance and requests to file for a missing person report, he ends up seeing a mobile phone in the hand of some person. He ends up making a troubled expression, and the boy asks if everything is okay. He shakes him off, and as they walk off, Kawagashi's nightmare was about to come to life. The phone that didn't seem like a big problem was hanging around the police station, and soon their lives would start to change, and the impact of the damage would affect everyone and everything around them. Their desire to not get caught will only get stronger.